we do our best to keep the shelves full to the last day. I don't want anyone to go home without their cider that they wanted, the new press and stuff. Tomorrow we're getting a new pasteurizer from you guys, so all that stuff will help us keep the customers happy, which is what we're really here to do. Yeah, like I don't think you can go wrong with Juicing.Systems, to be quite honest at this point.
Welcome to another episode of the Fresh Press Podcast by Juicing.Systems. Today we're going to be talking to Scott, the cider pressing and maintenance manager at Valas Pumpkin Patch and Apple Orchard. Scott, how's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you for taking the time. Maybe you can give me, from your point of view, what does Valas do really?
Okay. Well, Valas, I think, is a little bit of a unique business as far as cider production. Our parent company, Valas Pumpkin Patch, is an agri-tourism business. We're only open for 2 months a year, from about mid-September through the end of October, primarily for that fall festival Halloween season. We started as a U-Pick strawberry patch and pumpkin patch. This year was our 40th anniversary, and we've been wildly successful in that avenue of business. People have been coming to our farm for generations and stuff to enjoy making memories with their family and stuff, and coming back year after year and experiencing picking pumpkins and apples in our U-Pick orchard and riding the pumpkin hay rack rides and getting the food and all that stuff. So that's primarily what Vala's Pumpkin Patch is about. My boss and her husband, David and Kelsey, about 4 years ago decided to start making hard cider. We had been pressing our own apples and apples that we bought regionally for a while on our older press, and then they decided to start making hard cider out of the sweet cider, and kind of took it from there. It really blew up and has just been wildly successful ever since then. We're just trying to keep up. Every year we're growing faster and faster. And so, yeah, the larger equipment, more efficient processes are what we're always looking out for. So,
yeah. So, from my understanding, so you guys are open for 2 months, and do you still sell product outside those 2 months, or is that your main business time?
We sell all of our products in those 2 months. We have 400 acres of farm out here. About 40 of it is open to the public in those 2 months, and we'll see on a peak day about 20,000 guests on the farm, and then we expect to host about 400,000 over the course of the month and a half, 2 month season. So all of our sales are in that 2 month window. So it's a wild time of year, but it's a blast.
So you're basically making your money from people coming in, or they charge a ticket to come in, and then any kind of product that those people can purchase.
Yep, we charge admission tickets and then sell the cider and food and merchandise and stuff like that. So
challenges previous to having our presses did you feel like you were facing in those 2 months?
So the apple pressing always kind of ran independently of the season. We tried to do it as much as possible during season. Our pressing room has some nice viewing windows that the public is able to see the machine and the process, and that's part of what we do here is trying to bring the public into the farm. People come out here because they don't have their own farm, so they want to come out and experience it and see this stuff. So we try to put on a good show. So we try to press during season as much as possible, but it falls inside and outside of season every year. We start pressing before we open, and then we keep pressing well after we close for the year. So as far as challenges with the old machine, it was like an accordion bag style, back and forth press or whatever. It worked well. When the apple quality started to go down, it was tough to get the pomace out of the bags and stuff when we would dump, and therefore it started taking a longer and longer time. The crew would get fatigued and frustrated and stuff, so productivity would go down. And then we had to wash those bags. Those bags are just a nightmare to wash. What do you can't put them in the washing machine because it kills the washing machine unless you buy like a $5,000 commercial washing machine. They barely even sell those. I don't want to buy a washing machine just for my apple press. So we ended up just having one of our workers hose them out the day after. She would spend 5 or 6 hours just hosing them out to get them clean enough to where we could put them in the washing machine and get them as clean as possible. And they still never were quite clean enough. And then the fruit flies.
Oh yeah.
From having the apple stuff around, the bags and everything were just out of control. So yeah.
Did it affect you or overall production? Did it affect not having enough or taking too much time and not having enough juice for, anything else you wanted to build on top of the raw juice?
We were always able to just barely keep up, I feel like, with the old press. Every year we're growing, planting more apples and stuff like that. So the demand on the throughput of the old press was increasing. Coupled with the difficulties in running it and the crew that we had to have around and stuff, it was getting to the point where we were pressing into January and February, and the apple quality was really started to take a turn for the worse and stuff. So we had to do something to increase the speed.
Did you when you implemented the new machinery, did you see any kind of output increases? Did you see more juice coming out of the apple itself?
One of the things that the company, we shopped around a little bit. Some of the arguments against the belt press that I heard included that the yield would be lower, like per bushel of apples. I could expect to see a lower yield. I personally did not experience that at all, and maybe even a slight increase in yield. I typically expect to see 55, 60 gallons per one of our macro bins, which is 20 bushels, and that held through the whole season and stuff. I didn't see any decrease or any substantial really change in yield as far as per ton or per pound of fruit. What I did see was a wild increase in the productivity in the span of a day. About a 300% increase in the amount of fruit that we could process in a day and juice that we could make. We were doing about 8.5 tons on the previous press in a good day, and our best day this last season was 25.5 tons. The speed with which we're able to process the fruit now allows us to do way more, maintain the quality of the fruit before it turns and goes down.
Of course,
and just move things through a lot faster. So it's just been a wonderful addition to the process.
How about labor? Because obviously you're full hands on deck in those pressing days, but do you have less people on the press, or just generally less pressing days?
Yeah, so with the old press, it was usually about 6 of us running around, people sorting apples, one person actually pumping the apple pomace into the press, and one person running the pump, and one person scraping the bags out. We've pretty much eliminated most of those spots. Someone sorts the apples, someone brings the bins in. I kind of watch it, make sure that it's going good. We usually only press one sort of apple at a time. And so sometimes when the quality changes, if we change apple types in the middle of the press, I'll have to make some adjustments and stuff. But that's about the only hands-on part of the actual pressing and stuff. So as far as labor goes, we've seen about a 50% reduction in the required labor per press day or whatever, So with the increase in productivity and the decrease in the labor, I believe our press has almost paid for itself this year alone.
Wow. I like to hear that.
Yeah.
How about the transition from the old press to the new press? Did your team have a hard time comprehending the new way of operation? How was that transition for them?
Not at all. We kind of had a custom in-feed line built. We didn't have the budget for the whole bin dumper, water bath system and stuff, so we just stuck with the lift and the grinder and the press. So as far as major changes to the process, they were inconsequential. I had one less operator on the press that was replaced by me. We still had the same apple sorting protocol and procedure, the same bin loading procedure. So Nathan and I were able to plan it out and design it in such a way that the machine literally just rolled into our press room. I hooked it up, and 2 days later we were pressing apples. It could not have gone any smoother or been any more hassle-free.
Because I've heard of several times that sometimes, at least, even if you see that big double press, you're like, wow, that's a big piece of machinery. How am I going to handle that? But you didn't find it overwhelming, right?
No, no, not at all. Roger came out and helped get it set up and showed me all the ins and outs of it and stuff. It looks like a complicated machine, but honestly, it's really simple. Super easy to work on. It takes a lot of water to clean it. Like you just gotta hose it down and hose it down. It's a piece of cake to take the belt on and off. So like, yeah, I couldn't be more happy with it, honestly.
You were talking about being able to press better apples because you can get at them faster. Did you see any other quality, you would say, improvements? Like clarity, juice consistency, anything that matters to you?
The turbidity of the juice changed a little bit. I heard some feedback that our sweet cider juice was a little bit different color, and I think that's a little bit different solids content in it. I don't have any numbers to throw at you or whatever about that, but we did notice a little bit of I can't say it's a better quality, lower quality. It's just slightly different.
Right.
The juice is just as good as it's ever been. So I call it a win across the board.
Does it? I think you alluded a little bit to it, but like, what's the difference? The big difference in operational in those 2 months that you're selling? Like, are you able to jump on if you need more juice, or maybe you're not pressing in like a lot earlier or later? Like, how does that feel in the operation side as a manager?
The ability to just kind of like, we don't have to plan as far out for the pressing crew, and it's the big production or whatever, like setting up for a whole day beforehand and all this stuff. Like, press days were much more casual and laid back, and we were able to kind of pivot easier. With our production schedule being so wild in those 2 months, things change, and they change rapidly. So the ability to move press days, and not have to have a bunch of skilled people that knew how to run the press around. We could just have pretty much any warm body sort apples. We just throw them in there and work and stuff. There's plenty of seasonal help around at that time of year and stuff. So as far as scheduling and planning, it was hugely different. We had been talking about bringing on like a crew from what is it? H2A, when you have workers come and you provide housing and a vehicle and stuff like that. So we weighed the headache of that and the amount of expense that takes to put that sort of thing in place versus the cost of the new press, and it was a no-brainer that the new press we'd be money ahead, and it's clear now that was the right decision. So
if you look at the overall business impact, because you're saying that the owners wanted to introduce hard cider, how has the bottom line helped or changed in the business implementing this new system? I
think that we're experiencing a lot of growth rapidly, like 20%, 30% year over year, which is just a wild amount of growth in this sort of business. The new press is going to be able to make us meet that demand, and without the new press, we'd be stuck trying to press apples. So it's an important part of our growth and expansion program. I think it's going to be able to take us into the next 5 or 10 years when we're ready to get that fancy double belt press and stuff. So
right.
I can't put any numbers to how much we saved in labor this year and stuff. That's outside of my wheelhouse and my job function and stuff. But my stress level has been greatly improved, which I think will ultimately impact our bottom line because I'm happier. So
that's not bad. That's quantifiable for sure.
Right.
My last line of questions would be maybe advice for other farms. What advice would you have to other agritourism farms considering a similar an investment into a single belt press?
If you're going to get a single belt press, make sure you get the whole system. I think ours would run a little bit better if I was able to mix the apples. I run into some trouble when I get like one particular bin of apples. We're running one type of apples through, and if they're a little bit lower quality and I don't catch it right away, it'll kind of bind up in the end. So if you're going with a single belt press, make sure you get the whole line and you're able to mix your apples to kind of negate some of those quality issues. Make sure that you have a complete process design. Talk with Nathan and Remo. They are just a crack team at getting things figured out and making sure you've got a process that's going to work great for you. Yeah, like I don't think you can go wrong with Juicing.Systems, to be quite honest. At this point, I'm just beside myself happy.
I think one of the things that I consider the most, because a lot of these agritourism farms, yours included, you have that small window where you want to push out as many sales as you can, right? And in that fall period, I've gone to farms, and sometimes at the end of it, they don't have enough product. There's still people coming in, but they ran out, or they're just selling, a jug of apple cider. And I've gone to other ones that are a little bit bigger, and they have the cider, the hot cider, the cider slushies, and I see myself buying not only the hot cider but the cider slushie, because they're great. I love them, and I think business-wise, having that ability to have more, to do more different products, because as many sales as you can have in those 2 months, I think that's the key, right?
We do our best to keep the shelves full till the last day. It's a little tricky to time that production and not have a wild amount left over at the end of the season or whatever. But I don't want anyone to go home without their cider that they wanted or anything like that. So the new press and stuff, and tomorrow we're getting a new pasteurizer from you guys. So all that stuff will help us keep those shelves full and keep the customers happy, which is what we're really here to do. So
my last question, and then we'll wrap it up. How has the service in general, like if something's been down and you need some help, like the service from our tech side been?
Stellar. Roger was a treat to have out. I think Remo pulled him out of retirement because you guys have been so busy, and I can understand why. Remo's been working on some special projects for my press for me. I've got a solenoid that's gone down, and so he's working on a special kit for me to fix it up. Nathan was a wonderful person to work with as far as planning and getting all the paperwork done for both our press and our pasteurizer. Noelle in accounting, I think, she has been great, with the shipping details and getting the customs forms and everything like that. So I have nothing but great things to say about the team at Juicing.Systems.
Amazing. Thank you for taking the time, Scott. Those are all my questions.
Yeah, no, if you have any more, feel free to reach out and let me know. And thanks for taking the time to talk to me.